All right, welcome to the show. Colin Cowherd is off today. Coming up, I'll tell you if all that money will bring out the best or worst in Odell Beckham Jr. and if the Steelers are getting a bit sick of Le'Veon Bell. But we begin today with DeMaurice Smith, head of the NFL Players Union. I call Smith the Manchurian Candidate, a lawyer programmed years ago to undo all the good work done by his predecessor, Gene Upshaw. Yesterday, the NFL and the NFLPA announced that they still haven't resolved the national anthem issue. The two sides released a joint statement. Today, we continued our productive dialogue on the issues that players have raised awareness about, and we remain committed to working together on solutions in the spirit of our ongoing collaboration and progress. We will continue the confidentiality of our discussions. We're less than 2 weeks away from the start of the 2018 NFL season, and billionaires and millionaires can't decide it's in their best interest for players to stand at attention during the playing of the national anthem. I blame Smith for this predicament. The owners came up with a fair solution. The players who have a problem respecting our anthem can stay in the locker room, and the owners gave $90 million to the Players Coalition to support the social justice causes the players claim they care so deeply about. Only the Manchurian Candidate, at the behest of the NFL's longtime enemies, could find the owner's solution unfavorable. That's because Smith has been so inept at his real job, securing the players more money and post-career benefits, that he panders for media approval. Look at the last collective bargaining agreement. The players got absolutely destroyed financially. Veteran players are being pushed out of the league because it's much cheaper to keep the young guys. The middle class is shrinking. It's becoming a league of haves and have-nots. Smith's big win was fewer practices, which everyone pretty much agrees has hurt the on-field product. Gene Upshaw saw his role as helping the players become partners with ownership. Smith sees himself as an adversary. He fights everything. The NFLPA is investing in a venture capital fund, Dementia Discovery Fund, that will profit off the health issues related to CTE. You could argue the union is shorting the NFL. Football's critics would label this strategy genius. I'd call it short-sighted and detrimental. I want the league to survive and thrive. I also see the NFL's counter move. The new helmet rule related to contact is forcing NFL players to target each other at the knees rather than the head. Knee trauma is far less expensive and problematic for ownership than head trauma. There's no media hysteria over knee injuries. Football is under attack. There's never been a more important time for partnership between the players and owners. It can't happen with DeMaurice Smith as the head of the union. He's grandstanding his way in the way of all progress. All right, joining me now, two future Hall of Famers, Pittsburgh Steelers great James Harrison, Kansas City Chiefs, Atlanta Falcons great Mark Schlereth, right. Tony Gonzalez, Denver Broncos, Washington Redskins, Super Bowl champion Mark Schlereth.
Not future Hall of Famer.
Not future Hall of Famer.
Address me as the not future Hall of Famer.
Super Bowl champion.
Okay.
All right, guys. I think I blame DeMaurice Smith. We're less than 2 weeks away from the start of the season, and we are still can't figure out this national anthem issue. This guy fights everything. I put all the blame on him.
You want to go first or is it me?
Go, it doesn't matter to me.
Oh, you know, when I look at DeMaurice, I remember when he first came in. I was around when, I think we all were, when Gene Upshaw was in there, and I thought he did a pretty good job, you know.
Awesome.
Awesome job. And I do believe that the player and the person in that position should be somebody who played in the NFL. Somebody who understands what the players are going through because they have been through it before. That is one of the things that I've never liked about DeMaurice. And then also the deal. I remember when it came out, we were voting on the collective bargaining agreement. People were raising their hands. And the way I looked at it, I was like, we're getting a raw deal here. And you're seeing what has happened because I love how you hit on there is no middle ground player anymore. It's either young guys or the old superstars on the team now, and you're missing a lot of that's why I think football has fallen off a little bit. It hasn't been as much fun to watch. The product has diminished. And now that they can't get deals done, DeMaurice, to me, I like him as a person, but he is a lawyer. Okay, he doesn't understand what the players are going through, and therefore that is why we're running into this problem with Roger Goodell and the rest of the ownership. They need somebody in there who has played the game and who can talk that talk someone like Scott Fujita. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
I do know Scott Fujita.
I think he would be somebody else who would be better representation for the players. But nothing against Drew Reese as a person. But I think the job could have been done a little bit better.
Okay, so I understand the issue to me between the league and the Players Association is there is a lack of communication, okay, between those two. And the unfortunate part of this is both have dug their feet in the ground. It's not about doing what's right, it's about being right. Both sides are on that kind of argument.
I don't see it that way.
Okay, I understand you don't. So let me just tell you what's wrong with your argument here, okay? So you said the owners came up with a fair solution.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Then they lied about the players' involvement. Roger Goodell got up and not only lied about the players weren't involved in the solution. Okay, he lied about that, but he also lied about, in front of everybody, about the owners and the vote and the approval. He said there was a vote, it was unanimous. There was no vote, and several owners came out and said, I would have abstained from voting.
Mark, ownership and executives decided this show was going to start at 2 p.m. today. I didn't have a vote in that. Ownership gets to make some decisions on their own. You don't need the players to sign off on everything. Sometimes, and particularly when you're dealing with a group of young people, sometimes you have to give them what they need, not what they want. And that's what the situation we have here with the national anthem.
Which is fine. But don't come out and say that we put this together, that we had this unanimous decision between the players, and there's harmony between the league and the players.
Well,
don't come out and lie about it. Just say, hey.
Tony on this with D. Smith. You know, he gave a raw deal. Guys didn't understand the deal that was being put on the table. You know, our representatives, Charlie Bastian, they came in and said, we really don't know what half of this says, and then we're acting on goodwill faith that the league is going to do what is right. So to say that he's like the ultimate thing that's stopping us, I don't think so. I just think that he's doing a bad job of what his job is. As far as the players, I don't know how you're going to tell someone how they should peacefully protest something and tell them, they can or can't do this. And I understand what you're saying, that it's going to hurt the league. You think it's going to hurt the league? It's going to hurt the money and everything else. Well, that's something that they're going to find out when that time comes.
But James, this is what I'm saying. They built the NFL not for protest, not for political statements. They built it to play the game and to please customers and to make as much money as possible. Just like they built this television network for us to talk about sports, not to talk about a bunch of other stuff. And so they have a right to do that as ownership. It's their league. And I don't think what they're suggesting, $90 million to the Players Coalition for those issues that everyone says they're passionate about. They're trying to meet you halfway. And at some point, let's get back to conducting business, because there's a bigger attack on football that while we're over here bickering about the national anthem and stuff that really doesn't matter, the game is being hurt. And we need to be focused on the game so that players, the 12-year-old kid, can make money playing football, and football stays healthy for everybody coming in behind, not just the guys that are playing right now.
Why are the guys out there now anyway, though?
Out there for the money. For the money.
What originally happened that got them out there? The NFL were getting paid to have your players out there stand at attention while the national anthem is played.
$10 million is what they got for that.
It don't matter.
That's a drop in a bucket in a league that generates $14 billion.
I'll tell you this. I've been involved in this game, in the TV game, for a long time. There is not one highlight that we can put on there. There is not one thing that we can air without NFL approval. We pay for that, to get that on there. The NFL could solve this really easily. You know what they could do? What? Don't play the national anthem. No network is allowed to play the national anthem. We move on. It could be, it could be that secretive. Like, you could come to each network and say, hey guys, we're not going to talk about it, and we're not going to play it. You know, when like, for instance.
Mark, let me just stop you there just for a second, though, because I think what everybody's forgetting is, like, there was a plan put together in order to get football as popular as it is, to get it to a place where it could generate $14 billion, where Tony and James could make generational wealth to help their families.
Yes.
And part of that plan, a big part, was attaching the game to patriotism.
Yes.
And this was done in the 1960s through Pete Rozelle and Ed Sable. There's a plan that's been put together. And now to turn around and say to the leagues and to the ownership and to networks, hey, we're going to abandon this plan that's been so good to us,
Right.
Because the players won't cooperate and because they have the wrong leadership. This is where I think Tony's right in terms of, as it relates to the NFL, if you don't have a former player, someone who loves the game, maybe he doesn't have to be a player, but just someone who loves the game in that players union position, you're looking at a guy that can be easily manipulated by the media and do things that are detrimental to the game, and that's what's happening here with DeMaurice Smith. He's failing every place it matters, financially and all this stuff. So he's looking for these little tiny, oh, you don't have to practice as much. Oh, you don't have to stand for the national anthem. Because he doesn't know how to engage these guys on the major issues that would be beneficial for the players and the game long term.
Well, I totally agree with that. And I completely agree with the last collective bargaining agreement and all the issues that have basically the unintended consequences that have happened because of the last collective bargaining agreement. And there's no other way to put it. The players got absolutely ramshackled on that deal. There is no other way to do it. And I'm with you on the having a former player in there. The point being for me is both sides have to understand that football is under attack, and it would benefit both sides, behoove both sides to actually come together and have, like, you can't come out there and say, our game's under attack, our game's under attack. Hey, we've got total harmony on this decision when you haven't talked to the other side. Like, and so both sides bow their back, both sides fight with each other. They need total harmony. Like, if there's anything you can learn from this lesson is let's come together as a group, because you know what continues to happen on the outside? This game gets attacked, less and less kids play. Everybody's going to hurt financially eventually.
Wait a second. I think when you look at this group, okay, Gene Upshaw, the knock against Gene Upshaw, if you guys remember, was that he was in Tagliabue's pocket. Right. Mm-hmm. So everybody's like, well, they're just too close to each other. These two guys, DeMaurice and Roger Goodell, they can't stand each other. This is all the rumors. They can't stand each other. And for me, when they, like you said, you got millionaires and billionaires, these guys are getting paid a lot of money to go into that room and come up with a solution that's going to be great for everybody. Because not everybody's got to concede. That's just how it goes. Mm-hmm. Anybody who thinks they're going to get the whole enchilada, it doesn't make sense. You should not think that way, because that's how progress gets stalled out. These guys should have went in that room. It should be over and done with now. So everybody concedes, everybody gives, everybody takes, and let's come out and get back to the game of football. This DeMaurice has not been able to do that. I have not seen that, and that's why we need somebody like a Scott or whoever it is, who's a lawyer, but then also can compromise a little bit.
I love your point about the critics of Gene Upshaw. He's in Paul Tagliabue's pocket. Let's just remember who those critics were. They weren't people that loved the game. They were outsiders who wanted to create a civil war within the NFL. Again, great institutions, and I'm going to go really big picture here, but it's like the United States. Our enemies know they can't destroy us. They're wanting us to destroy ourselves and pit us against each other, so we do so much fighting that the U.S. collapses. The same thing with the NFL. Gene Upshaw and Paul Tagliabue and ownership working together was benefiting the players. And the people that couldn't stand football needed to get someone in there who would go to war with the NFL so there would be all this infighting. And we've turned the national anthem 2 minutes before the game, something that's been going on in sports for damn near ever. We've turned this into a knockdown, drag-out fight, draw the line in the sand, we're going to war. It's crazy, and the only people benefiting are the people who hate football. If the NFL players don't get rid of DeMaurice Smith and we continue down this path, no one wins. No one. No one's going to be making more money. The game won't be healthy. The game, for the next generation, they won't get the benefits that you guys got and that Mark Schlereth and guys paid the price for people to make this kind of money. DeMaurice Smith's got to go. All right, welcome back. Tony Gonzalez and James Harrison are back. We're joined now by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to New York, where the Giants just made Odell Beckham Jr. the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history with a 5-year, $95 million contract extension. Today, Odell was asked if his record-setting payday comes with any extra pressure.
I don't know if it puts any extra that I haven't already put on myself, coming in early in training camp and being able to be here and knowing where I'm at in life and knowing I do need to be a leader, and there are guys that are watching me, and I need to be there to, on days that I may not be doing that, at least be bringing energy somewhere else. So I don't know if it's any extra responsibility that I didn't already, kind of put on myself going into this year 5, being a vet.
I think he's matured quite a bit, and I think that stuff hopefully is in the past, and I think he's ready to go on and be the type of player and citizen that we expect him to be, and I think he will be.
Love it. I love John Mara there. Hopefully that stuff's in the past. I think he's matured. This is a wing and a prayer. They're crossing their fingers. Odell Beckham Jr. is the Dennis Rodman of the NFL. And when if Dennis Rodman had ever been one of the highest paid players in the NBA, Dennis Rodman would have been even more of a nightmare. I don't think this is going to bring out the best in OBJ. I don't think – there's guys that play because they love the game, and there's guys that play because they love the money and the attention. Odell Beckham Jr. loves the money and attention. This contract, in my view, will be a mistake.
Well, obviously, we'll find out sooner or later, but I agree with you. Money doesn't make you any worse of a person or better, it just makes you more of who you really are. And what we've seen of Odell over the past 4 years, yeah, he's got that emotional roller coaster. But one thing that happened to him last year with that injury, I think that kind of changes your perspective. Like knowing that this game could be taken away from you at any second. I'm hoping, just like Mr. Mara said there, that he has learned some lessons now. And with that money, maybe he will start to change. People change now. You got to give him a chance. He is a young kid
I think
living in New York.
But not with $95 million in their pocket, they don't.
$95 million.
I feel like he's going to mature. Like he said, the injury, it really set on him, and he realized that, you know what, this game is short. And, he needs to go in there and do everything that he needs to do to maximize the benefits of playing this game. And right now, I think this is a step for him that he was looking to get, and he's going to go out there. I think he's going to do everything he said he's going to do. He's going to be more of a leader, and he's going to prove them right. All
right, listen, I'm not saying you and him are best friends because I don't know if y'all even know each other. But just when you look across, when you examine OBJ, does he?
I'm not looking at the past. I'm looking at what I want to get from him in the future. Right now,
do you think he loves the game the way you love the game?
Yeah.
Why?
Dude, you see him out there putting up the numbers. You don't go out there and just put up the numbers because you want to have the show. You got to put that time in the offseason to be able to go out there and do that. It's not guys out there that's putting in the time and the work. I know a lot of people, me and him have a lot of the same body work people. I mean, he's doing a lot of the things that he needs to do to make sure he accelerates his game year in and year out.
And Tony told me, you saw him up at UCLA, right? At some point, like, Odell Beckham's working his butt off. Let's give him some credit, okay? This guy's only 25 years old. And I know I've been negative about Odell for about a year now. He blocked me on social media. I went through that whole thing.
No, he did.
Hey, I'm keeping it real. I'll be completely honest with you guys.
What world are we living in right now?
I will say this. I'm going to say this. His idol, he said it many times, LeBron James is his idol. You guys remember LeBron early in his career was dancing on the sidelines, had all these antics, and opponents really didn't like it. And they started to call him out. And LeBron changed his tune when he got to Miami, grew up a little bit, cut the dancing, started winning. I think Odell's close to that. I don't know if the Giants are going to be winning anything anytime soon, but this is a guy, I think, 25? Yeah. 25 in New York City. It's time to be a leader. He's now a target, Whitlock. When he goes out in the streets, he's a target.
Just help me out here, and maybe I'm just an old fuddy-duddy, and I'm just yelling. It's the hair, man. I don't get it. I don't get the blonde hair.
I done got used to it. At first, I'm like, why? I'm like, that's just Odell. That's the way these.
But it's
younger
helped him. He's
generation.
Now one of the most popular players in the league.
He's
you see kids doing that.
I mean,
like I got the Odell.
No. I do. I see kids doing it, and they look lost to me. They look lost. Anytime.
You're getting old, man. You're getting old.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, you're getting old.
I think it's starting to show.
Because that is, everybody, it's all about the brand nowadays. You got to, how much,
that hair helped him get that Nike contract.
Yes,
okay?
you're going to get contracts, and you're even talking about it, the world, it's all social media now. And you see how sensitive he was. He got blocked.
Yeah, it hurt. It stung me, man.
You can't have
hurt.
that.
Come on.
It's a new dawn, new day. It's not how it was with us.
And look, I may get in trouble for this, but blonde hair on a brother, man, it just don't add up to me.
Blonde hair on a sister don't add up to you?
That's a different conversation. That's a different
You saying it can't go both ways?
I don't understand it, man. I'm just sorry. My father wouldn't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know anybody that understands.
He's secure enough in his manhood, his masculinity.
That's not about masculinity. I just don't understand. It's just too much for me.
It's different.
To me, when I look at the press conference, like he spent more time on his hair than worrying about football, and that's a guy to me that's more of a Kardashian, more of an entertainer than a great football player.
Hold on. How can you say worrying about football? He's shown up. He didn't hold out like some of the other receivers did. He's shown up and put in the work.
To get his money. To get the money. Now that he's got the money, let's see what Odell does. And I just don't think money doesn't bring out the best in people. It just exposes what we've already been seeing, from the boat party to the proposing to the kicking net to the drops in the playoffs. I just don't. I see a guy that seized an opportunity, did his little highlight catch. He's a brand more than a football player. I give my money to great football players, not great brands. All right, welcome back. Tony Gonzalez, Mark Schlereth, and James Harrison are back. Let's move to James's old team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have been without Le'Veon Bell for yet another preseason, with the all-pro running back holding out for a long-term deal. Bell is expected to finally show up sometime in the next week, but Big Ben actually just said that even after he returns, backup James Conner still deserves to see some playing time. I think this is, and again, sometimes Ben goes a little rogue here and says things that he regrets. I think this is an indication, though, that the Steelers know, hey, this is it for Le'Veon Bell. He's not all in. He's moving on after next year. And Big Ben and the organization are like, okay, if James Conner, he may be the long-term solution. I think Ben's somewhat serious here. I think the Steelers and some of the players, the organization and some of the players, are tired of the Le'Veon Bell fiasco. They can't make him happy, so quit worrying about making him happy, and we'll see if James Conner can be a potential solution.
I feel like it's a little bit of the same thing you're saying, where they realize that Le'Veon is possibly not going to be around there next year. I think it would cost them almost $25 million to franchise him again. And they want to instill some confidence in Conner. They've seen what he's done in the preseason up to now, and like you said, that's possibly going to be their running back of the future. But when Le'Veon comes back, believe they're going to welcome him back with open arms. You can try and not or split time with Conner like they did earlier last year, and they tried to split time with Conner and Le'Veon. And I believe it came down to they weren't getting from James what they thought they should have got, and they were like, you know what, we're going to put Bell in here. I also believe it may be a situation where they were like, you know what, let's try and win with Conner, and to try and keep Le'Veon for next year and keep his numbers lower, we won't give him as many opportunities to go out there and do what it is that he's done over the last few years.
Well, I always try to look at it from both sides. Ben Roethlisberger, for sure, I think he's saying the right thing. First of all, Conner's having a great preseason. He's shown that he can play. He can fill that role. He's not Le'Veon Bell. Let's just get that off the table right now. He's not going to replace him in those numbers. But if you're looking ahead, that's a smart thing to do. Get this kid in there, because Le'Veon Bell has in his mind, and I love how he's sticking to it, he wants, I don't know what the exact number is, but he wants a whole lot of money. He wants $20 million, saying I catch the ball and I run the ball. Obviously, they're not coming to that agreement. He's going to be gone next year, I would think. He's going to be, so definitely get this kid in there. I'm going to put him in there, even if Le'Veon Bell is having an outstanding season. I still need Conner to go in there, because you're not going to be around in the future. Let's go get a Super Bowl this year, and then you get to leave. We got our guy of the future. Everybody wins, and hopefully he goes out there and gets money. Hope Le'Veon gets paid.
Le'Veon Bell is not going to play for the Steelers next year. They've already told him they don't want him. It's not that Bell doesn't want to be there. The Steelers have told him. The contract they offered him, a $70 million deal with $10 million in guarantees. He's got a one-year deal for $14.5 million. So you're telling me if Le'Veon Bell steps on a football field in week 1 and blows out his knee, and God forbid, both of these, and Todd Gurley steps on a football field and blows out his knee, Todd Gurley's going to get $40 million. Le'Veon's going to get 10. Like, the contract that they offered him was fake. The contract they offered him said, we don't want you. Like, we'd like to have you for a year or two, but we don't really want to commit to you long term. So, that writing's on the wall.
Everyone's saying, when he comes back in week 1, like, everybody's assuming that he's going to come back week 1. I'm with Mark. he has a whole mess of money to lose versus what he's going to lose per week. If I'm in Le'Veon's situation, I come back with enough time to get my credited season, and then I move on. Unless he has a huge insurance policy, like he said, that guarantees him if he blows out, tears up a knee, and he can't come back, $40, $50 million. It's no way I go into that knowing what I would lose.
Okay, you know Le'Veon well. You know the dynamics of that team well. Given the scenario you guys have just laid out, that the Steelers have made it clear we don't want you beyond this year, what do you think Le'Veon's attitude will be like with the team? Will he be a positive influence, or will he, whenever he shows up?
Whenever he comes back, he's going to come back with all toes in, you know? But like I said, I see him waiting as long as possible so that it minimizes the opportunities for you to get hurt. At least that's what I would do, in my opinion, considering the gains and losses of actually, a severe injury.
I feel bad for these running backs. I'm starting to really feel bad
Couple
for
of them got paid.
Yeah, but they're still not getting, in my opinion, they're still not getting what they're worth. Le'Veon Bell, what is it, 90 catches? 90-something catches, 1,300 yards, whatever it's 14. Like that is easily $20 million a year.
I tell you the other
but
thing.
They're not going to get it.
The other thing that he does for you, think about 3rd down and 3- as a defender. And all of a sudden they come in with fullback and Le'Veon Bell. And now you guys have, as a defense, have to say, okay, are they going to run it down our throats? Or are we going to play them heavy? You play us heavy, we split out, and all of a sudden Le'Veon Bell is a receiver, and I got a middle linebacker covering him. Or if you said, hey, let's go nickel, let's go dime, and all of a sudden we're going to run it down your throat. I mean, he creates a mismatch. He creates a matchup issue for a defense in short yardage, 3rd down situations. I mean, I'm telling you what, it's such a pivotal position.
James, give me this.
just,
I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's
Martin.
hard.
Just very quickly, why wouldn't the Steelers be all in on Le'Veon Bell? Why don't they want to give him the money?
I had absolutely no clue. I would have paid the man. He's giving you the stats every year of almost, like you said, a second best receiver. He's giving you the yards, and he's giving you, 1,400 yards rushing the ball. I mean, how you don't pay that is beyond me. You got guys that don't even have that many catches a year that are getting paid more.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you why. It's because they think they can win without him. And you got Ben Roethlisberger, one of the best in the business, and you got 3 really good receivers now. I think Juju Smith, Antonio Brown. One man's got to be out, and it's going to be Le'Veon Bell.
All right, to Dallas, where Jerry Jones is still doing his best to find ways to improve the NFL and its product. Yesterday, offering up a proposal to shrink the preseason to 2 games and expand the regular season to 18, which he says actually will benefit the guys on the field.
Probably physically better for players than it is to have the longer preseason, the longer practicing. Our studies show that we actually have a ramped-up injury situation with players during preseason as opposed to the injury factor in the regular season. So all of this has a lot of discussion. It's been discussed a lot.
All right, listen, I actually like the idea. I got my own twist on it, though. I think you go to 18 games regular season, but you limit players. You can only play in 16 games. And so you play 8, and there's a couple of weeks where you don't get to play. I might make the quarterbacks an exception to that rule, and maybe the kickers. But everybody play 18, but you only get to play 16. More money to be made for everybody. Jerry estimates maybe $1 billion more for the players. I think it's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea the way you set it up. I think it's a good idea, like you said, if it's going to generate $1 billion more a year for the players, right? If he's going to take that $1 billion to say it's going to generate for these players and cut it up between 32 teams and add it to the salary cap, I'm all for it. But if you're not going to do that, then I'm not for it.
Well, I think his argument is that the $1 billion would be.
You think he's going to give all that to the players?
No. I think that what he means is maybe it's going to generate $3 billion extra dollars. $1 billion of it will go to the players,
which is awesome. I'm 100% into that. But the issue that you get into is a guy like James or a guy like me, there's a great free agent story going on in Denver where I live right now. Philip Lindsay didn't get invited to the combine. He's a little tiny running back out of Colorado, out of CU. He's lighting it up, man. Everything they ask him to do, he does it in spades. He's great. He's going to make the team, right? Like, if you don't get the opportunity to play and practice as a smaller school preseason guy, you don't ever get to fulfill that dream. So I'm into that. I'm like, I'd be okay with that if we're going to extend the rosters from, from 53 to 63, right?
Oh, no, you need more than that.
Right, no. I'm saying the rosters from 53 to 63 and extra practice squad guys.
Yes.
And then on top of that, like if I'm negotiating this deal as a players association, I also want you to bring back some developmental league so that we can take young players who don't get a practice, who need the work, and go back to NFL Europe. So if you're going to invest in this game, then invest in this game, and we'll give you the 2 extra games. But you're going to have to do this so we can develop players and we can get some guys an opportunity to play this game at a high level that aren't going to get the work otherwise. So that's what I would like. If you're going to do it, I'd love to see it.
I think they are. I think there is a league right now. I think Bill Polian's part of it now. They got a couple ex-coaches that have coached the NFL.
The NFL is watching it, but they're not invested in it. They're like, okay, we'll see, and if it looks like what we want, then we'll partnership. They need a partnership. They need to have a league where they can develop not only players but coaches.
Yeah,
like that's something that needs to happen.
Well, I agree with you, and hopefully I think that's where they're moving with this league. Supposedly that's the rumor on the street is, but 18 games to me, even when I played, and I know you guys probably don't want to hear this, I said even if you pay me extra money, I don't think I'd want that extra money. I'd rather continue making what I make because those extra 2 games, I don't know how you guys felt at the end of a season, man. Your body is just beat down, and I think putting 2 extra games on top of that with the injury, I just don't know. I think the product, the end goal, the players would suffer from that, for playing those extra games. But they just need to shorten the preseason to 2 games. I mean, 4 games.
That's going to cost money if they shorten it. What do you think of my idea, 18 games, but Tony Gonzalez only gets to play in 16 of them?
That's where you're going to get the competitive spirit. These guys, we're not sitting out. I'm not going to sit out a game.
But baseball players sit out.
I know, but that's...
Yeah, but they're soft.
They're baseball players.
They're
soft players.
He said that.
It's 100.
He can say that.
Yeah, 162 games in baseball. So, but if you extend the rosters and you extend the practice squad, then you can have a little bit of a rotation where you can save yourself a few plays a game here and there. Then I think if you don't extend the rosters and you don't extend the practice squad and you don't have
though. You can't say, at the time when they were trying to get 18 games before, or we're going to add, I think it was like 3 or 5 more people onto the rosters. That's not going to work. You need to have a true practice squad that is at least a base of, I would say, 15 to 18 players that are just your practice squad, so that they, can be out there taking.
You need to do it legally, like what we did back in the day, where you would have guys that lived in the ceiling tiles of the facility and they'd rappel down and run out to the practice field in the same jersey of the starters. Like you'd have, in the old days, man, we have a 53-man roster. We had 80 guys on that team, hidden corners and all over the place. Like that's the way we used to do it back,
All right, welcome back. Tony Gonzalez, James Harrison, and Mark Schlereth are back. Let's move to Cleveland, where the Browns got a scare in their preseason game last week with 4th overall pick Denzel Ward tweaking his back while making a tackle. Ward is okay, but after defensive coordinator Gregg Williams criticized the rookie for, quote, stupid tackling, head coach Hue Jackson made it clear he wants Williams to be a little more discreet.
Yesterday, Gregg Williams kind of called out Denzel a little bit for his tackling methods. My question to you is, are you totally fine with, whatever Gregg?
No, it's not whatever Gregg. Gregg doesn't get to do just what he wants to do. I mean, so we'll work through all of that. But our players got it. There's a certain way we do want them to tackle because of size, structure, and all that. We don't want a guy to get hurt or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure Gregg does advise, but we don't need to do all that stuff in the media.
All right, I don't really have a problem with Gregg Williams. He's old school. I don't think he called the kid stupid. He said the kid was tackling in a stupid way. I guess now we got this generation of young people that if you say anything, it can hurt their feelings. They get blocked on Twitter and they cry about it on national TV. So I don't know. I guess I agree with. I don't know what he was talking about.
Like I said, I find no problem with what Hue did. He's saying, look here, this is my team. This is how things are going to operate. You went out there in the media, you said this, I'm going to go here and I'm going to correct it. Gregg doesn't, like he said, Gregg doesn't get to do what he wants to do. This is my team. We don't operate that way. Something that we consider family business, we're going to keep in the family. So you're not going to function how you think you're going to, and you're going to do it how I want it done.
No, I have no problem with it. I think it's great. You come out there. It's your team. Yeah. You're the head coach. You're the CEO. You're the guy who's going to get fired or who's going to get praised no matter what. So I think he handled it perfectly. Didn't come out. I don't think Gregg would have a problem with that when they do finally go back and they do their little roundtable meetings with all the coaches at night. I think they're going to be fine. Let's just keep that out.
Right. What did Gregg Williams say so wrong?
I don't think he said. I don't think one. He's tackling stupid. He doesn't call the kid stupid. Right. The problem is that, it becomes clickbait. It becomes exactly what we said in the social media world. People go after the kid. What do you think about what your coach called? You just nip it in the bud. The bottom line is that any of us that have been coached from old school, I've been coached hard. I've been called every name in the book. It's just the way it used to be. But that's fine, and that doesn't bother me a bit. You don't ever go out to the media and give them something to talk about. That's the biggest issue. Just don't open the door up for them to speculate, for them to talk. That's the issue. Like, you want to dog cuss a guy? I don't have any problem with hard coaching and dog cussing dudes. I mean, I live my life that way. But you don't ever bring it out to the media. Like, I'll never forget, Joe Gibbs was the best. Now, Joe Gibbs never uttered a cuss word. In the 4 years that I played for Joe Gibbs, never. He used to say cods. He knocked their cods off. I just had this vision of fish falling out of your shoulder pads. I'm like, what the heck does that even mean, right? Like, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but great. Like, that was his cuss word. But I will tell you this, if we didn't play well, I mean, he would be furious. Furious. I've seen him tip over tables and throw Gatorade and just be furious. Then he'd go to the media. Did he cuss us out as players? He did in the locker room, I mean, in his way. Yeah. But you know what he went to the media? I didn't have my team ready to play. And it will not happen again in my organization. My coaches didn't prepare my players to play the right way, and that will not happen again. He 100% took it on his shoulders. I have nothing but, I'd step in front of traffic for him, nothing but the utmost respect for the man, because that's how he handled his business, and that's what Hue's trying to get done.
One of the greatest D coordinators I'd have played for is Dick LeBeau. Dick LeBeau, like he said, I would step in front of traffic for this man. I would step in front of a gun for this man. He treated everybody the same. He gave everybody the same respect. He didn't dog cuss you because that's not his way of coaching. He coached you with love. And if you went out there and you missed a coverage or you didn't fill a gap or a hole right, you felt like garbage because you just let him down. You let his defense down. And we would do the same thing. It's not Dick LeBeau's defense that failed. It was us that failed.
I love this, though. I got 4 kids. So it's okay to say that was stupid, but I can't call them stupid. Is that what you're saying?
Right, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm in now.
Y'all
when I go home, I'm going to tell my kid that was a stupid thing.
Gregg Williams should not be making any headlines. You don't want your assistant coach making any headlines. All right, to Oakland, where John Gruden's return to the sidelines hasn't been without some drama, with defensive star Khalil Mack still holding out for a bigger deal. Gruden says the situation has been a grueling process, and Yahoo Sports reporting that the stalemate has no end in sight. This reminds me of when John Gruden first got to Oakland. He wasn't on board with my quarterback, Jeff George. And Jeff George had a tremendous season, 29 TDs, 9 interceptions the year before, threw for almost 4,000 yards, was terrific. John Gruden shows up, and they couldn't get together. John Gruden shows up now, Khalil Mack, and it's like a guy that goes to prison. I'm going to punch out the toughest guy in prison and take control of this whole situation. That's what I think he's trying to do here. Hopefully it works. He may have picked the fight with the wrong guy. They don't have many great defensive players. He needs to find some peace with Khalil Mack. We got very little time here, but what are your guys' thoughts?
Well, real quick, I think with Gruden, Gruden is that throwback coach. Okay, this guy is that crotchety, just rough, crusty guy, and he wants things done his way, and he's trying to set the tone. I think this is exactly what that is. They need Khalil Mack, though. Khalil Mack is the guy that if they don't have him, their season is going to go down the drains.
You talk about coming in and changing the culture. That's what he's talking about. But here's the deal. You don't change the culture without your best player being on board. And you look at that draft class 2014, Derek Carr on that team has gotten a new contract. Blake Bortles just got a new contract. Odell Beckham Jr. just got a new contract. Aaron Donald's about to get a contract. Jimmy Garoppolo got a new contract. Devontae Freeman got a new contract. Mike Evans got a new contract. Sammy Watkins. There's an argument that Khalil Mack's better than any of those players right now. And you're saying we drafted a guy, he's been all-pro. He was all-pro at 2 different positions, D-end and linebacker, first ever.
And linebacker.
Yeah, and we're not going to pay that guy? Like, you want to change the culture? That's not going to change the culture in the locker room. That's going to make the players mad.
They got to find some way to open up communication again and get this ball rolling. Like you said, that's arguably one of the best players in the league on defense right now, and you have to have him to have a successful season.
We have been having a discussion, James. You're the perfect person to ask. Earlier in the week, last week, defensive players, to me, are struggling to get their money like the league is devaluing the great defensive player. Do you feel that?
Well, right now, it's an offensive league. So, you know, I think these teams, they're trying to spend their money on offense. You know, you can't hit a quarterback. You can't hit a receiver. And almost with the helmet rule they got now, you can't even tackle nobody. So, you know, they want to pay the guys that's, making all the scoring all the points, so to speak. It may be a little bit of a devaluation.
You know, had James had the misfortune of playing in the Mid-American Conference the same time as I would, I would have walked up on him first. He the first guy would have taken out to establish control.
First round, first pick of 2001 draft if I got 4 years against him.
All right, welcome back. Tony Gonzalez is here for Last Call. Let's move to Hollywood, where power forward LeBron James, whose barbershop-themed talk show, The Shop, will make its debut tonight on HBO. Tony, I think it's, maybe terrible, maybe good. I expect to see you on The Shop at some point. You gonna watch?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna support LeBron James. He's coming to Hollywood, right? This is Hollywood.
Support LeBron James, or are you interested in the conversation they're gonna have?
A little bit of both, but I think more so the conversation. I'd like to see what comes out of these guys' mouths.
Yeah,
be good.
I think it's all gonna be canned and PC and agenda riddled.
Yeah.
When I go to a barbershop, the conversation ain't remotely PC. Most of the stuff you say in a barbershop, you can never say publicly. So I don't know why they call it the barbershop. Call it the PC shop is what it's going to be.
You think they're going to have the guy with the DVDs coming there and selling the movies for $3 a piece?
That's when we'll know it's real. All right, to San Francisco, where 49ers general manager John Lynch just admitted that last season he actually asked Bill Belichick if Tom Brady was available for trade. Belichick laughed and hung up on Lynch. All right, Tony, should the Patriots stop hanging up on people? Now we know where Brady gets it from. He gets it from Belichick.
Like father, like son, huh? I mean, no, they shouldn't hang up on people. Both were ridiculous. I agree with Belichick. You don't ask to trade for Tom Brady. And then I asked you twice when Tom Brady's, I asked you twice to stop talking about it. Third time, I'm hanging up on you.
Listen. A closed mouth, I've always lived by this, a closed mouth can't get fed. I don't blame John Lynch for asking. You never know. You never know. Closed mouth can't get fed.